Okay. Hey, the beat's popping today. I can hear it. Man, I wish I could play, copyright music. You know what I mean? That'd be cool, YouTube, if we could just, no issues. Just let me play any music I want. Doesn't Twitch do that? See, I don't know. But I honestly, I would consider just using Twitch for that alone. The fact that I can just play normal music. This is fire. But anyway, we're here. You know what I got to do? I got to start playing some of the other beats that I have. That's the issue. All right. It's the same beat every time. I got to start mixing in some of the other beats. But we're back, man. And I know we're earlier today. Well, actually, we're later. We're later and earlier, depending on when we're doing our show. We're doing this in the middle of the day. It's almost 4 o'clock, but we're here. Didn't have practice today. And because of that, I was like, oh, okay, bet. Let's do it a little bit earlier than usual. Still got a little bit of a later start than I wanted to, but it's all good. We're still here. We're still going to knock it out. Where are the beats? Oh, my goodness. You don't hear the beats? Okay. Yeah, that's not good. You know what I think it is? I think it's so loud in my headphones that I can hear it and y'all can't hear it. Let me turn it up a little bit. I think that's what it is. We always got feeding the ducks, but we're not gonna do that. Let me get that going, man. My man DET fan man. Why do I always spell that out? I don't know. Is here. Daniel is here. Happy Friday. We got a lot of things to talk about today, and I'm always trying to come up with like something that's interesting, something maybe a little bit unique. And today, man, we have a reaction video that not a reaction. We have a video that we're going to react to. I saw this yesterday. The NFL posted our win total, floor, and ceiling. I was like, oh, okay, that's fire. I got to save that. Haven't watched it at all. But they had like other teams over-unders and stuff just kind of placed on the screen. I don't know if they're accurate or not. But anyway, we're going to react to that, see what the heck that's all about. It's 11 minutes. I don't know if we're going to watch the whole thing. And then Jack Campbell, Brodric Martin. I went back. Well, I watched all Brodric Martin snaps from last season because Brodric Martin didn't really play that much. So that didn't take too long. And then Jack Campbell, I didn't watch all his snaps, but I went through a lot of his games, specifically towards the end of the season. And I think I've heard Brodric Martin's been brought up in the chat so much for a guy that played in 3 games last season, regular season games. He's been brought up so many times. Like, we got to just talk about this dude. And similarly with Jack Campbell, we saw him a lot more this last season, though towards the end of the year, it kind of stopped seeing him a little bit. Like, we saw like half of the snaps that he was getting until the final, as I throw my pen, until the final game against the San Francisco 49ers when he got up to about 50 snaps in that game. But that was because Derek Barnes was injured. He had to show some versatility, play a little bit of the Derek Barnes role. And I honestly thought he looked really good there versus what he looked like early in the season when he was kind of playing that role. I thought he really grew into that position. And we could talk about what kind of the outlook is for next season. And shout out to my mans over there at Crunch Time. They had me on last night and they asked, and we talked a little bit about Jack Campbell. So it kind of gave me some inspiration to not only talk about Brodric Martin, but also talk about Jack Campbell. And then, of course, AFC East prediction time. That's where we're at with this. AFC East predictions. These are all difficult. Like, it feels like it's going to be easy. Like, I know how this is going to go. Then all of a sudden you start looking at every roster and I'm like, wait a minute, that team could be good too. I think every team's good. That's not the case. I always think every team, honestly, though, it probably is the case. Almost every team is pretty darn good, and it just does. Teams aren't separated by much. I think that's the issue in the NFL. Just teams are not separated by much. Is why we see so much turnover. I heard today, don't know if this is actually true or not, but 7 teams on average make the playoffs the next year. Then they did 7 new teams each year make the playoffs. I don't know why I said that's so weird. And that sounds insane, but it actually makes a ton of sense because the league does feel like it's that close, which is why it's so fun. It's also a little bit scary as a team that just went to the NFC Championship, but I think we're ahead of everybody right now. With that, though, before we get into any of that, man, I got to show y'all 2 little articles I found. Hey, we got the little outline back. We look good. I got 2 articles that I found, and these are things that I mentioned in our last show, our last DODcast episode, but I didn't have like the evidence. I didn't have the article to actually show you guys, so I kind of got confused on what I was actually reading off my notes, but I found it. All right, I just had to go to my history. I found it. Here we are. I want to show these first before we get into any of the other things. I think we're going to start with the video reaction, though. I think that's what we're going to pop it off with because we haven't done one of those in a while, and I really want to do it. Okay, I'm going to keep this small because this actually fits perfectly right now, as long as y'all can see it. You should be able to see this one, though. This is what I brought up. So Khalif Raymond, separation-wise, I think I said this, that he was deemed open on all but one of his targets last season, and that's the stat. Here it is. Pro Football Focus has it. And as you can see, Raymond gained separation on all but one of his 43 targets in 2023. He finished 3rd on the team in target rate at 22%, which is, it's actually pretty high, considering we had Sam Laporta last season. Makes sense with the running back position. St. Brown would have probably been one. I would assume Sam Laporta was 2, but he would have been right behind that. And actually, to bring up a little thought, for anybody in the chat right now, just let me know what y'all think about this. So Jameson Williams, we've talked about him a lot, and the opportunity is all in front of him. He could absolutely take off. There's nothing blocking his path from being a massive piece of this offense. But if you do look at it from the perspective of what statistically did Josh Reynolds do, what has DJ Chark did, what have those guys done out wide, actually the over-under that was proposed to me of 650 is fair. It's not a crazy number, because usually those guys don't put up crazy numbers, even if they play a lot of the season, because there are certain games where they're involved, certain games they're not. I just thought it was an interesting thing to bring up. I still think his over-under, if I was going to set it, should be 900, because I just think there's so many opportunities that are going to be there for him. But it is interesting, and this kind of plays into that. But yeah, Khalif Raymond gets open, okay? So just take it back. I wish I had this when we did the Khalif Raymond video, that's who I focused on. Khalif Raymond gets open, and this says it all, okay? Here's the numbers for it. If you were looking for the numbers, he gets open a lot, all right? So I'm going to leave it there. Raymond gained 20 first downs, 9 catches of 20-plus yards, and generated T-best 121.8 pass rating when targeted. Usually Josh Reynolds would be pretty high in that category too. So, hey, that's higher than St. Brown, man. That's higher than St. Brown. Less targets probably has something to do with that. But man, when the play is designed to go to Khalif Raymond, he just gets open. He gets open at every level of the field. He can be a little bit difficult to hit, but he is usually open. So that's the first one. Shout out to Jordy. I see you. Khalif is a beast. Khalif Raymond's a dog, man. This is a crazy stat. This is really a crazy stat, though, if you think about it. It's pretty nuts. I mean, it makes sense, though, because if you look at these, a lot of these are your slot, kind of gadget type of receivers. So we see a lot of similarities here, but still to have him number 1, thought we'd give him some recognition. The other thing that I wanted to show you is another article that I had mentioned before, but I hadn't shown it. And it's this one, which I brought up Carlton Davis. I wish I would have had this for the video, but as I said about tight coverage, and I was stumbling over this one. I could not remember what I was talking about. My notes, I couldn't really read it. It made no sense when I was trying to explain it. But as you can see, this is from last season, and we were talking about guys that could play that tight man coverage, those kind of things. Look at this, man. So if you look, tight coverage, I think that's tight coverage percentage, percentage of the time it was tight coverage. One thing that we chart, PFF separation. Therefore, for this piece, we're going to look at the top 10 cornerbacks in terms of tight coverage allowed, step of separation allowed, and open targets allowed. For tight coverage rate, the higher the number, the better, whereas the lower the number is preferred, the latter of the two. So percent of the time they're in tight coverage according to PFF. Carlton Davis was number 9 in the league last season. And when you look at some of these names, Darius Slay surprised me a little bit. It surprised me that he's I didn't watch that much of him last season. It just surprised me that he's up there. Witherspoon had an awesome season, but Witherspoon plays a lot more off coverage with the LA Rams, so definitely different stylistically. Martin Emerson makes sense. That dude was a dog for me on Madden franchise, okay? I absolutely re-signed that dude. He was an animal. Tyreek Stevenson, I don't believe this stat. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't believe this. But, okay, they play that cover 3 defense. I mean, we know that all these are schematically different. And I think the fact that Carlton Davis is here says a lot, because they were a heavy zone team when he was there. So you did see some of that cover 3, but you saw a lot of versatility. But we've already talked about how insane the man numbers are the last few years. I think this kind of backs it up a little bit. Isaac Yiadom makes a ton of sense there. He was a lot of man coverage, a lot of press for the Saints. Deron Bland, he takes the ball away a lot. Maybe that one's a little bit surprising to people. Again, huge off coverage team, but heavy man team, a lot of switch man coverage. And you got Stephon Gilmore in there too, which is huge for them with 2 guys like that. I don't know if he's on any of these other lists, but let me make sure that I don't miss it. So step of separation, I got to assume this gets a little bit difficult, because you can see it's a lot of new names that I would assume schematically what they're doing probably makes this a little bit difficult for consistency, but I'm pretty sure he was on another one here. Open percentage. Okay, so he's not on this one. So we got Isaac. Hey, Isaac's doing his thing. I remember talking about him during the offseason. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I don't remember what I was looking for, but that's what I wanted to show you mainly there. So excited for Carlton Davis. That's what I'm saying. Now let's dive into what we got to talk about today. Khalif is the best. Khalif is going to eat. See, I like that. I like that we have people buying into Khalif, okay? Another NFC title, number 1 seed. All roads go through Detroit. Lombardi or bust. 1 pride. I see you, Brent. Okay. Hey, that was nice. That sounded good. I could have read that better, maybe with more emotion, but that was good. Afternoon dose. What up, Sir Richard? Okay. Let's do this. First thing we're going to do, this is out of order on the bottom of the screen. Just let y'all know. But these are the 4 things we're going to mainly talk about today. But I want to start right here. Okay, that's bad. We're going to start with the floor and ceiling video. I haven't reacted to a video in a while, and I want to make sure that I have some energy for it. So we're going to start there. Then if we disagree with it, we start talking about Jack Campbell, Brodric Martin. I can hype them up even more. Be like, well, hold up. Wait till y'all see this play. Anyway, let's react to this. The NFL posted this. Maybe you guys have seen this. I have not yet. I've seen none of this. So I'm excited to see what this is going to be. Let me make sure I got my sound right, too. They already showed it. I just clicked the button. They already showed it. Okay. Hold up. I kind of spoiled it a little bit. Don't know why it like popped off like that. Like I thought there would be some buildup, but there wasn't. Okay, cool. Okay. Let me get that on the right screen here. That way we can hear it. Because Wednesday, you guys going to hear anything. This will be very boring if you can't hear anything. Okay, here we go. Share screen. Oh, wait. Which one's the right one? Hold up. I think it's this one. Okay, here we go. And hey, give me a one once I start this, but I'm pretty sure you'll be able to hear it. Here we go. Turn that all the way up.
Detroit Lions tapped as a 10.5 win team for 2024. May sound low, but no, only 3 teams have a higher figure.
It's about to get loud as it's ever been in here.
Is this copyright, by the way? I hope not, man.
They were kings of the NFC North
this
jungle.
Not be copyright,
2023 made it all the way to the doorstep of the promise.
See, I feel like this music's copyright, so I'm going to mute it for a second. Until they start, like, breaking it down.
Seems to be upper.
Tie for second most playoff wins in. Hey, yo, that's actually a crazy graphic, dog. Ah, man. Look, man, last year was historic, bro. Last year was historic. Hey, 10.5. I'm not mad at that number at all. Our division, we have arguably the best division in football. So to put us at 10.5. I ain't even mad at it. I'm not even mad at it. Okay, let's continue. 2, and I'm just like, bro, I don't know how we lost this game. I mean, it was just everything went wrong, but it's still kind of cool that is still in front of us, like to witness that like that's still going to be the first time for everybody when that does take place. So I'm still excited about the Jameson Williams thing. I just draft Terrion Arnold. Oh, you guys can't just throw straight up draft content. That's going to be super copyrighted. Hey, for everybody saying Brian Branch defensive rookie of the year, those numbers don't lie. That's incredible. They don't have to do Jerry Jacobs dirty. What's this? Let me see what this is. Primary starters, replacing. Oh, they're replacing nobody. Is that what they're saying? Okay, this is true. Well, they could have included Josh Reynolds though, because Josh Reynolds was the primary starter, so they could have put him here. Yeah, I feel like they could have put. I understand they put Khalif, but I would have put Josh on there. Kevin Zeitler upgrade. Okay, I agree with that. Primary starters, but oh boy, yo, wait. Oh no, Jordy, I'm good. Okay, hold up, y'all. Nah, they got me with that one, dog. They got me with that one. Yo, I gotta hear what he says, bro. I gotta hear what he says, dog. Oh no.
Is on the D side. Will someone be able to help Hutchinson get to the quarterback on the other side? Secondary has all sorts.
Yo, they didn't say anything. He just called it a push. That is crazy. No, that is crazy. Okay, so we're replacing Tracy Walker. I mean, but honestly, okay, Tracy was probably started more games last season because he played like through the beginning of the season, and then ultimately went to Iffy, and then CD Deuce came in. So they kind of both started. Cam Sutton now back with Pittsburgh. I think he's still there, but he's suspended for a few games. Then Jerry Jacobs. That's the hey, and honestly, like if there was a position that you'd want to have, I don't know. I like Tracy. So if he was better last season, I think alone, but if he needs to show more there. We just need to see more. Meek Robertson over Cam Sutton. I think that's fair. Meek's coming off his best season. Cam was not coming off his best season. Cam did some good things. Okay, I think it can be forgot that he did some good things, but it was not a great season. Carlton over Jerry. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, here we go. Oh, they do a game by game. Yo, but that is crazy though, Jordy. I don't even know how to address this straight up. What do I say to that? Need the Rad, you're tripping. I gotta get Rad actually on here for that. Yo, I'm optimistic we're going to get Rad next week. I'm optimistic. I don't know for sure. I'm optimistic, though. But yes, here we go.
You're tripping.
Yeah, that is the best way to... Because I don't know what to say to that. How do you... Like, what are you even looking at that would make you... Are they... What am I don't know. I don't know how that would. I'm trying to think because maybe you're saying, well, he missed time, so he wasn't on the field at the end of the year. Or they're super like, yo, he's coming off an injury. He's just not going to be the same at all. I mean, otherwise, there's no way you could even, it doesn't make any sense at all. But yeah, no, if there was a place that I'd want to have the replacing start to pop up, it'd be the secondary. Secondary is solid. How's that a push? That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that one. That's pretty nuts. We are reviewing NFL's win total, floor, and ceiling. And I think we're about to get to the win total here. See, okay, so maybe that's what they were doing. But then that's a little bit disrespectful to Benito, right? Because then it's like, well, hold on. Yo, because then Benito's like, wait a minute, I'm a push with a player that can't play. That's crazy. Like, that would have to be a downgrade, right? That has to be a down. If a guy can't play versus a guy that can play, regardless of how he plays, he's on the field. He has to be an upgrade because he's actually on the field. I don't know. Okay, don't have to bring that up. Okay, here we go. Floor. Oh, this is the floor. This is as bad as we can be. Are they going to go game by game on this? I'm pretty fired up. Let's go. Here we go. Floor. Okay, wait, let me predict. The floor is going to be, we lose to LA, lose to Tampa Bay. They'll have us beat Arizona, lose to Seattle, lose to Dallas, beat Minnesota, beat Tennessee, lose to Green Bay, lose to Houston. I think they'll have us win one of the two, so that'll be 4 wins. They'll have us split it with Chicago, that's 5 wins. Lose to Green Bay, lose to Buffalo, probably 6 wins. But that's not reasonable, though. Like, I'm really going conservative there. All right, I'll say 6 wins. This is going to be the floor. They're going to put 6 at the floor. Okay, they put Tampa Bay in there. I wasn't expecting them to put Tampa Bay in there. Whoa, Tampa Bay's at 7.5. Is that still a thing? That feels low, too. I mean, their division got better. And they put Seattle as a win. The floor is we are beating Seattle. Dog, they have the floor at 5-2 right now. We're beating Seattle's good, too, man. I get these two. These make sense. Arizona, I like Arizona this year, but it makes sense. They put Jacksonville in here. Okay, so I thought they'd split one of the two here. We're going to split with Green Bay. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair way to say it. The floor is we split with Green Bay. They have us sweeping the Vikings, losing these 3, splitting with Chicago. So they're saying the floor is we're gonna sweep the Vikings, but splitting with Chicago and Green Bay. Actually, that makes more sense than what I said. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, can I count? 3, 6, 9. Okay, 9 wins, 9 and 8. If the floor is 9 and 8, I'm really hyped about that. Yes, sir. Okay. 2022. Oh gosh. All right, here we go. So this is the ceiling, y'all. This is the ceiling. Is this still got the copyright music?
The Stafford sequel.
He still got the top. Okay, so they added okay, of course. Yeah, we could look, man. I got to start like 7-0, 8-0. So, you know, the ceiling's got to be super high. We're beating Dallas. We've already showed we could do that. Okay, put Dallas in there. Okay, they skipped Dallas. That's cool. So wait, hold up. Are they saying we can't beat Dallas? All right. In fairness, that you could pretty much put a win for every game. Okay, you got to have a couple losses. They're saying we can't sweep Green Bay. We're gonna beat San Fran. This is disrespectful. I ain't even gonna lie. Nah, DT favorite. This is disrespectful. This is a little. It's very respectful that they put us at 8 and 9 as the floor, but 13 and 4 is the ceiling. Feels low, man.
The Bills aren't winning in Detroit either.
See, if they had this as like the actual prediction, I'd be like, hey, you guys are on something here. But that's the ceiling. You don't think we could go 14 and 3, 15 and 2? Like to be okay, realistic, say they have to put a couple losses. They can't say 17 and 0. I'm not mad at Houston being on there. I don't think San Fran should be on there. San Fran should not be on there. But it's on the road, so I guess I get it. But I think realistically, ceiling wise, you have to say we would beat coming off a bye, we'd beat Dallas. And we could sweep Green Bay realistically. I think they're too high on Green Bay. They don't even have them as a over under 10. So I think realistically, I put those two in there. Ceiling's 15 and 2. 15 and 2. Because I can understand. I think we have a better shot of beating San Fran than probably Houston. And honestly, probably a better shot of beating San Fran than sweeping the Packers. I could see that. I don't know. I actually like how we match up against Packers. Better chance of beating San Fran or Dallas. Probably Dallas. Because San Fran's probably playing for a playoff spot then. I don't know. He's speaking friendly about the Lions. Okay. See, I ain't mad at that. I'm just mad at the result they gave up here. Hey, the narrator, his voice sounds good though, but the copyright.
Be perfect. It's not.
Eminem calls cap on that if he was young enough to use such lingo. He'd have Detroit take the Stafford sequel. We got the Colts on the road in week 12. The Bills aren't winning in Detroit either. And break out the Bears brooms for one more win, a 13-win season.
Okay. I'm not mad at that. All right. I'm not mad at that. That is a reaction to that. I skipped through most of it. They were just showing players. I apologize. I didn't see the NFL. You don't need to have those crazy beats. I know those things aren't copyright free, and they probably still got me anyway, which stinks. They probably still got me because I didn't know at the beginning that I was going to be playing. But it's all right. I think 14 is ceiling, 10 is the floor. Dude, 10 is the floor that's incredible. It really is. I had us at 6, man. Shoot, maybe I was being disrespectful. I put us at 6 as the floor. I mean, you could honestly, any team's floor could be like 2 wins health wise, right? It could be. But yeah, if everybody's like what we expected right now, 6 does feel a little low, but hey, I'll take 10, I'll take 9. I'm cool with those. 13, come on though. I really think, man. I don't see why not, especially if we start like 7 or 8-0, and I don't see why Dallas wouldn't be a team that we could beat. Okay, give me 1 second, chat. We're going to move on to our next topic here. We're pushing the 30-minute mark. We're going to move on to our next topic here. Give me 1 second. We'll keep this thing rolling. Hey, that beat's playing, though. All right. Okay, let's do it. So I think we should go into... Let's save the AFC East predictions because we usually do those last anyway, so let's just save those. I think we go into our players kind of breakdown discussion. Now, Brodric Martin's going to be a lot shorter. Jack Campbell's going to be much longer. I think we should start with Jack Campbell. Let's knock it out. Let's talk Jack Campbell a little bit here. What he did last season. You know, I went through and I had watched like the last 6 games I think that he played in this past season. Of course, we all watched him live, and I'm pretty sure we did all 22 and most of them during the season. But I just went back and watched like towards the end of the year to see how he played, kind of what my updated takeaways were from watching him again. So we're going to go through that. We're going to go through Jack Campbell. Then we'll go through Brodric Martin a little bit because there's just a lot less with Brodric Martin. And then we'll do the AFC East predictions. But yeah, feel free to throw chats in there, man. Anything you guys want to discuss, we can always talk about whatever while I'm showing these clips because there's a lot of clips here. And we don't have to go through all these. There is a lot here. But I did separate these. So usually in the past, I haven't always done a great job with actually separating these, but I separated these this time. So it's going to be much easier to follow along because we're going to show different, we're going to show like different segments of his game kind of all separated. So it's going to be a lot easier to follow along with, but we're going to start off with number 46 right here. Y'all see him. Y'all see 46. Brodric lost some height to Jack. You lost some height to Jack? Oh, hype to Jack? Is that what you're saying? Hype? Okay, let's do it. Oh, you are saying okay, cool. Oh, now we got it. Okay. No, I had to remind myself. So I had to look back at the way that he tested coming out of the draft. The 4.6, 540. We knew that wasn't great when he came out, but it's also towards the size. It made a ton of sense. But it was the fact that this dude had a 6.743 cone drill. He posted a 37.5-inch vertical coming out for the draft. Like he tested out really well athletically outside of just the 40 time alone. His measurements led to some concern. Sub 32-inch arms. You'll see that as well as we kind of walk through some of these just from last season. But overall, like I kind of forgot how athletically gifted this guy was. And when you watch him, specifically in coverage, like when you see the movement we're going to show and how, to me, efficient it is, right? You don't have him stumbling through transitions. And then you start to see some of the football intelligence, I think, in coverage. We'll get to that and how I think he can become more of a playmaker in coverage, because to me, that's the aspect that he's missing right now is just being a big-time playmaker in coverage. That's what we're kind of waiting for. And that's, I think, the next step for him. I don't know how much flexibility is going to be there just in general. I think there's some limitations on the upside. And then also I wanted to discuss where I think his role could kind of come into play too next season for the Lions and where they could get the most out of him, to be honest. A lot of people talk like Jack had a bad year. Give him a break. He was a rookie, playing spots never played. I think he did well. Yeah, I mean, and you know what's interesting? So going back to the whole draft thing, you know, there was discussions, I guess, at Iowa, like, hey, let's move from the defensive end. He didn't want to do that. Now, he didn't play defensive end for us last year, but he did play on the line of scrimmage. He did play some of that Sam backer role, specifically early in the season. Then Derek Barnes took over that role. Then we saw at the end of the season, San Fran, he went back into that role for the Lions. And I actually thought he ended the season really strong playing in that role. So even though I don't think that's the future position for him, I think they want to keep him at off-ball backer. They like him as the middle linebacker of this defense. They like him as like the eventual Mike linebacker of this defense. And you can see that football intelligence. He's super active. He's a very good communicator. He seems to do a nice job of getting the defensive line into position. And he, as the season went on, especially later in the season, saw good communication with Duracell. I think that's really won him long-term. But the fact that he did look better at a position that I thought against a team like Baltimore, granted, Baltimore put him in a lot more tough positions than San Fran did. To see him improve in that role, I thought was very promising. It's like, hey, he looks better in a position that he looked kind of rough at during the season. And I think that versatility is necessary because even though that's division is like, hey, he's going to do this, you still need to have guys that can play in different spots because not everybody can play that role. And if something does happen, they need to kick Jack down. They need to feel comfortable with doing that. And we saw last year they were clearly comfortable with doing that. And they were so comfortable to the point where they said, look, we're just going to put Malcolm Rodriguez into the game, give him snaps kind of at the off-ball position. You play on the line of scrimmage again. And he was able to handle that role really well. How Jack Campbell goes back to his natural position. I don't know what Glenn had playing edge. So yeah, early in the season, I don't really remember why he was doing that early in the season, to be honest with you. I don't think Derek Barnes was out. But throughout most of the season, he did play this off-ball back role until, like I said, the end of the season against San Fran when Derek Barnes was injured. Ceiling is 15-2, floor is 11-6. Floor is 11-6 is kind of crazy, Brent. I ain't gonna lie, that's a little crazy. I love it. It's a little crazy. Would you be surprised if Rakestraw starts over Arnold? Yes, I'd be very surprised. Now, could I see something like that potentially happening during the season? Not even speaking on injury, maybe. But I'd be very surprised coming into the year if he was a starter over Terran Arnold and both were healthy. Just because I really do think there's a lot to you were the first pick, you were traded up for. I know that it's not like, hey, they say that it's not that way, and it shouldn't be that way, but I do think there is still a lot of weight that does hold that Lions went up and got that piece versus Enos Rakestraw, who is insane value, and I think long-term it's going to be very awesome to see that. But I just think there's a real difference. Now, with that being said, you know, they're both dogs. Enos Rakestraw brings a ton of energy, so if he was a guy that, especially during training camp, gained some buzz, you know, when the pads come on, and I think Amik Robertson's going to do this for a lot of fans. If Enos Rakestraw did something similar where he was healthy enough to get out there and he was running around, he's hitting guys and he's flying around, he's making some big splash plays, and we step back, we're like, yo, hold up, maybe he should start. That wouldn't surprise me if there was that buzz coming into the season. I wouldn't really be surprised if that, because he's going to make those kind of like energy plays that he's just going to stand out energy-wise. He's going to crap talk. He's going to get into it with other players. I think those things will bring buzz around. I don't know that Terrion will have as much of that necessarily, even though he'll tackle, do those things. But it's not much about, like in training camp, just tackling guys, right? You don't get as much of that. You get the fiery emotional stuff that stands out as fans, not as much of like, oh, look at that clean tackle. Did you see the way he broke down it? Like, you don't get as much of that. Agreed, Peanut. Keep Captain Jack where he belongs. Okay, so we'll talk about Captain Jack. Okay. Hey, I haven't heard that one before. I like it, though. I haven't heard that one before. So we talked about, you know, a little bit taller, those kind of things. His cover stats this past season, we'll get into this. 35 receptions on 42 targets, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 124 pass rating. We'll talk about man zone separately here in a second. You know, we'll talk about being more of a playmaker, which to me, again, is kind of the next step for him. And for me, one of the biggest issues, and I brought this up yesterday, is shed. Okay, that's an issue that needs work. I think it also bleeds over when you see him as a blitzer, the ability to consistently shed at the point of attack, be consistent, getting off blocks and making a play on the ball carrier. That's an area that needs work. And I think a lot of different ways. Some of this is limitations. Again, doesn't have the best length necessarily. Some of it is, I think you could tilt up some of the aggressiveness, the way that he attacks block, rather than a lot of times where it feels like he's kind of absorbing the block. Some of the lack of being able to sit down underneath when he's getting into contact in these spots. And then some of that burst into contact doesn't really feel like it's there consistently either. However, there's a lot of things football intelligence-wise that I like about Jack. And I think it speaks to how consistent he was as a run defender, just being where he was supposed to be, how fast that he played a lot last season, the ability to navigate here with the polar. I think you saw a lot of those things. What he did well, we'll start with one here. What I liked about Jack, and you see him right here, right over the center, I liked how fast he was to get himself into position against the run, how fast he was to read the offensive line scheme, where even though sometimes the first step wasn't always immediate, you would still see he'd get to his position. He'd be very disciplined not to give up a gap that he was trying to contain. He would be able to play off defense. So let's say there were slanting defensive linemen and it became a mess. He was able to navigate through that traffic, sit himself down, find the ball carrier, very consistent. Or I don't want to fall out of my gap, very consistent. I'm disciplined to sit down where I need to be. When beating his offensive lineman to a spot to sit himself down like this, carry that leverage into the block, kind of wall it out. That way he can maintain where he needs to hold. Martin reminds me of Ty Johnson. So I was looking, and we're going to do this. We got AFC East. Ty Johnson's still with the Jets, right? The depth chart has him as running back 2, or not the Jets. Is it the Bills? I could be wrong. I think it's the Bills. I don't know. Someone correct me. I think it's the Bills. But I think they have running back 2, and then they added a couple running backs. One of those teams we'll get to, but I was like, I really need to see what these running backs look like. And I saw Ty Johnson. I was like, what? He's running back 2? At least that's what they're saying. I don't know if that's true or not. Those aren't necessarily accurate. But if anyone has extra training camp tickets, let me know. Dog, get training camp tickets, bro. Oh my goodness. It's so crazy what that has become. I was just like, just a few years ago, I would just walk in there. I can remember just walking in. That thing was empty when I got there. You just walk in there. And it's like, bro, I kind of miss that a little bit. Like, I love the fact that everybody's involved because they're winning, and that's amazing. But some of me is like, I kind of miss just walking in there. There was no tickets, dog. You just walked in there. Man, it's crazy now, dude. Anyway, we'll continue. A lot of these first clips that I'm going to show is really the shed ability specifically. We'll get into some of the navigating things as well. Some good, some bad, some late shed. This is good. So this is one thing. Lateral quickness. He has really good lateral quickness. And you see it through contact here. I think that's something he does well. Moves laterally, throw contact. Body control is a big aspect of his game. You see that contact balance. And we knew Sanford coming in, right? They're going to play fast. They're going to get wide. They're going to get to the sidelines. And when you see that, his ability to work through contact here on an offensive lineman that gets up to him, and he's still able to get contact. He stays inside, plays with really tight hands at the point of attack that are typically pretty accurate. Now, sometimes I think what hurts him is he slows down. He doesn't always show that explosion into contact where it's like, hey, I'm going to stack and really shed this block. Instead, he kind of like slows himself down to dial in an accurate punch. And even though he gets that accurate punch, then you get to the aspect where he's not able to get off the block that quickly. But getting inside the pads here off the offense lineman, then working over top of this block. And then right here's where I love him. Sinking down that lower body strength, some of that flexion, and being able to finish and make the tackle. One thing that people don't know, man, I brought this up yesterday. This dude was never on the ground. Now, he was on the ground last season a few times, but he was like never on the ground during training camp when just moving around. And guys weren't like full pads hitting each other. Just moving around, he was never on the ground. That body control was crazy. And I think plays like that showed it last season, that ability to do it through contact. It's one of the biggest upside things for me. And we aren't playing CF right now, 25 right now. Hey, Hungry Pet, do you like the game? See, I've seen mixed. I've seen people that are like, I love it. People are like, it's trash. They did not do their thing with this one, just like Madden. I'm curious on how people actually feel about the game. I actually haven't seen that poll yet. I was going to check that today. See how many people voted Wii, because for whatever reason, I believe not many people clicked Wii as their choice of what they're playing on. So, I just want to make sure that I don't need to go get a Wii. Actually, I have a Wii, so this would be great. But no, I'm wondering how people feel about that game, though. If anybody's playing College Football 25, let me know. But we do need to get on that. If it's hype, I'm just wondering if the hype's going to die. I don't want the hype to die down and we start it and then it's just like, hey, we're done. I want that something that's going to roll. So I need to make sure that people actually enjoy the game. And I've been watching a lot of reviews on it to make sure that's going to be the case. I sold my training camp tickets. Now my kid has cast for college. Yesterday, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? I saw a dude on Facebook selling his training camp tickets. And he was selling, I think he was selling for like $50 a pop, man. I was like, $50 is kind of crazy. I mean, now it's not, because it's like at one point going to a Lions game was $50. A couple of years ago, it was $50. You got a ticket to a Lions game. Parking was about as expensive, but now it's like $200. So I guess reasonably, it's not crazy. It's like, hey, it's a fourth of a ticket, but it's still kind of wild. Like, bro, I'm about to drop $50 on a single training camp ticket. What are we doing, bro? We can't win. It's training camp. What if I buy a ticket to training camp for $50 and it's one of those days that's like, hey, it's a 30-minute practice, bro. We get in here, we stretching, we warm it up, and then we getting out. Or hey, it rained out. They better refund me that ticket. That's all I mean, $50 is kind of nuts. Okay. $50. You threw me off with that in the middle of making Sam Houston a powerhouse. Okay. Sam Houston. Oh, snap. I have NFC North with a 2-game spread between each team. 13, 11, and 6, Chicago, Minnesota. I like that. And I think it's very possible. I think a lot of these teams are really good. I can see that being very possible. I think Chicago should be moved above Green Bay. I really do. We'll see if I'm wrong. I'm gonna die on that hill. I think Chicago should be above Green Bay. Didn't hear that Captain Jack put on some muscle this offseason. I don't know. Very possible. I just didn't see that, but I'm sure he did. I would believe that he did. And it makes a ton of sense. Like strength-wise, and this is actually something I wrote down, and it's in my shed category. Hit power and core strength, I thought needed to be better, okay? Because he's not going to consistently win the leverage battle. He doesn't feel like he's very explosive at the point of attack. And those are two areas where just getting stronger in the hips, getting stronger in the core could improve some of the upside to get off of blocks consistently. So if that is the case, good for him. He's not a guy that it wouldn't shock me if he's doing a ton of stuff during the offseason. If you watch Jack Campbell, we know that he's a football player, right? That's what his thing is from what we can tell from the outside. You watch this guy on extra points and field goal blocks, he is trying so hard. Like the effort he gives on those plays where like half the dudes are kind of like, all right, they kicked it. He's like trying to run over an offensive tackle to get there. Just saying that alone is like, all right, this guy's built a little bit different. And this is the San Francisco game where here you see him playing on line of scrimmage. The injury, he stepped into that role. Wasn't always great here, but you did see good instances, getting those inside hands. One thing I also like is he's very stout. So even though the shed to me was not great, he's very stout at the point of attack. He's built that way, but he also does a nice job beating his guy to the spot, playing with a really wide base at the point of attack. And then again, that discipline to kind of maintain where he's supposed to be at, try to play through blocks. This is where you wanted some of that shed to be a little bit faster, kind of discard a little bit quicker rather than getting held up on, because you'll see misses like this where he doesn't have great length, so just range in space can be a little bit limited. But when he does get a nice shot, he doesn't miss many tackles. He had 37 tackles according to PFF for 10 missed tackles. But what's nice is that he doesn't give up much leakage at all. Like if he's going to make the tackle, you're not picking up extra yards through that tackle. He's either making a tackle or he's not. It's kind of straightforward right there. And it suits him really well within the box. Back on the line of scrimmage here on the backside here against George Kittle. And you see some of that ability to set the edge. I think that's something that he did pretty well with setting the edge for the Lions. It wasn't great. Again, he's not really built to play that role consistently, but he handled it pretty well with the Lions. Back to this Vikings game here on this zone run. So you talk about that body control. You talk about the contact balance for a guy at his size. You see in the lower body here to attack on the zone block. He reads it pretty well, and then he's able to kind of stay on his feet here through a lot of mess. You see how he just doesn't go down. He doesn't go down to a knee, stays on his feet, able to maintain balance, able to get a finish there on that play. And then back again on the front side, you see him set the edge here against Kyle Juszczyk. Boom, you see the wide base. You see him lock himself out. Some of the finishing isn't great, but he held his foundation pretty well at the point of attack. I did like that. And it's just a thing, man. It's like you could see the triangle vision, and you can see that he's pretty consistent. It's not always the best first step to get there, but he is pretty good at reacting to it. He plays faster when he needs to against his own blocks, I felt. And then, getting to his spot, sitting himself down here against the fullback to position himself to handle this block. And there you can see it is. Here's one of the best examples you'll find, right? You have a team like the Rams, a lot of duo last season. They mixed up their run scheme. They weren't just a straight outside zone team anymore. So they mixed up what they did stylistically. And here, it's kind of like you get inside blocks isolating. You got the backside. You have this down block on the left tackle. And watch how he parks himself down, wide base. And this is one of the best examples of him using that force from the ground, getting it into the offensive tackle right here because he positioned himself to just sit down and rock him. That's where you see the stoutness. Once he does that, you see the ability to disregard. We just need more consistency there. It's the same thing as a blitzer. When he gets in that contact, you don't always feel that force. It feels like he's kind of dialing in, slowing down, losing any kind of burst. It's part of the reason I don't think he's great at just winning one-on-one as a pass rusher. But like here, you see it. It's clean. Boom, right into contact, right in his chest, tight hands. Gets really good force there. And then he's able to purely stack a shed. And there's where you see the finishing ability. There's where he's clean as a finisher. And then again, some of the navigation here. Eyes up through contact. I love it. He constantly has his eyes on the ball. You're working behind the nose tackle. I think we're getting, is this a tight front look? So you get your eyes on the ball here through contact, which I like, flowing with the zone scheme. But then you see how his eyes, again, he's a little bit on the taller side, so it helps him. Shedding blocks, wide base, squared shoulders to the line of scrimmage as he's working these zone blocks. You're not going to find him much getting his shoulders turned and then kind of washed out. Really nice job of squared shoulders. And that plays back to the athleticism that he carries. And then here, discipline, filling on the play. At times, I want to see him crank up the aggressiveness, like in especially goal line situations, short yards, just like, yo, just go, Phil. But that's just how he plays. He's going to be reliable. He's going to be supposed to be. He's going to play a disciplined brand. I thought I heard that he came to OTAs ripped. He may have. DJ Reader push Benito right off the tee. Oh, dang. Yo, that was actually crazy. That was a little crazy. But no, that was crazy. It's also crazy. It's more crazy that they said push there. That's the most disrespectful thing. That makes me like, you know what I mean? Like, I see that. I'm like, all right, this video, bro. Like, you can watch that video, be engaged. Like, this is a good video. And then you see that and you're like, wait a minute. Hold up. NFL, what are we doing? I thought I heard that he came. Okay, I heard that. Linebacker is my main concern. Jack Campbell 2.0 is a surprise. Well, I'll say this too. Alex Anzalone was a dog last season. And having Jack Campbell playing his role, being this disciplined player, right? That's going to be where he's supposed to be. He's going to be reliable, very good against the run. And if he continue to add on to these areas where you're like, oh, that wasn't great, his consistency, his instincts, the football intelligence to read schemes, this play speed there, Alex Anzalone then is playing really fast. Like, you even see it in coverage assignments, right? Where it's like, okay, he's going to play kind of that middle linebacker position. Alex is able to just get out on his own and just take off and take away the running back. Here's one thing that we need to remember. We're going to get to coverage here in a second. While he may not be the matchup piece of man coverage for a lot of matchups, just because of some of the, quickness, the lower body, those kind of things matching up with, especially like certain running backs, Alex Anzalone is very good at man coverage. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, good in man coverage. Okay, those guys are very good at man coverage. He may not be great there, but Jack Campbell can allow Alex Anzalone to kind of diversify, play very fast, and get back to the way that he's kind of built. Now, there's still flexibility. Alex Anzalone's built a way where he can still play within the box without a problem, play different gap assignments. He can be covered up, doesn't have to be covered up, can still deal with the offensive linemen. But Alex has played very fast, and I think the upside is those two together on paper should be very exciting for where that could go. Is Jack continues to improve, Alex, his floor just keeps getting raised to me because you already know what he can bring to the table, and you're just kind of allowing him to show that on the field. Y'all miss CD Deuce? I'm assuming something else happened off the field. I don't know. I like CD Deuce as a player. All right. I really like him as a player. I don't know what happened off the field, though. What do you think of matching 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end sets with dime on early downs? Front 5, Davenport, McNeil, Pascal. Linebackers, Houston, Campbell, Hutch. Secondary, Melifonu, Kirby, Branch, Amik, Terrion, Carlton. Okay, so you're saying if a team comes out in 11 personnel, which is typically what we see, you're going to come out in dime package or dollar with Davenport, McNeil, and Pascal. See, the first issue I would have there is that if this is not a third down, the issue I would have with that is stopping the run. I would have a big problem, I think, stopping the run. Pascal, I don't like him on the interior very much trying to play the run. He does it at times, especially on pass downs. You'll run the ball at him. I don't love that, so I'd have problems with that. McNeil's going to help, but he's going to be very key in that set. But if you're talking on early downs, I would have a problem there. Linebackers, you'd have Houston to rush. You'd have Hutchinson. So now where are you putting Davenport in there? Are you just like stacking the line of scrimmage? So you're going to have McNeil. Let's say McNeil is playing nose. You put him next to Pascal on the interior. So those are your 2 interior. I'd have a little bit of problem with that, but then you'd have Davenport, and then here's Hutchinson. So those would be like your 2 DNs. Then I put Houston off the edge with Aiden. I mean, you'd have a ton of pass rushers. You definitely have to have Houston's ability to drop into coverage. Davenport would probably have to open up some of that too. You'd have a ton of pass rushers on the field. And they're saying put Iffy and Kirby at safety. Maybe Branch in the slot. I think we have too many players here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, you have 12 players there. So you got to take one of those off. Like, you got too many DBs there. Or you got too many of one position. Oh, no, you said Houston or Campbell. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. You said Houston or Campbell. So you're saying Houston or Campbell. So last season, the Lions would use like Campbell, and there was times where it's like, okay, pass down, we'll put Houston, we'll put Campbell in there, but they were lighter on the front. I still don't think, especially based on last year, like that's something that's going to be good against the run. And I thought it struggled last season to trust him to kind of be like, well, he could take on a lineman. It's still something I wouldn't want to do. And based on your front, I would probably take Houston off and just go to Campbell then in that front because I have enough pass rushers on the field. So I would just have an issue of stopping the run. 3 down linemen with Houston and Hutch standing up instead of Anzalone and Campbell. Safeties help the run fit. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it's a pass down, I'd be fine with that. early downs, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that because most teams are going to do that anyways. Early downs, I would, unless they stop the run, I would just be concerned with their ability to actually stop the run. Training camp and preseason concerns. Davenport, Hooker, and secondary chemistry. Wait, we're concerned about Hooker, Davenport just needs to get on the field. Campbell going to ball out, not worried about him. I think AG might dabble with a 3-4 defense bit, or we a 4-3 team. My thing with this is it's always, I don't think the label matters too much. I really don't. I mean, we're more of a 4-3 team, I think, in general, just by the way that we kind of ask guys to play certain roles. But I think overall, I don't think the title matters too much unless you're asking them to play completely different gap responsibilities. Like last year, there were times where we'd say, hey, Brodric Martin, go 2 gap, right? You're playing a 0 technique, right? And we'd play alignments up front where multiple guys were playing multiple gaps, or maybe he was just playing 2 gaps, and you'd have like, okay, hey, Aleem, play this gap into this gap. Like you'd see things like that. So I think that flexibility is there. I think it is. And we saw with, we've seen with not Brodric Martin, but DJ Reader, he did that with Cincinnati at times where you would open up some of those. So I think at times, right, you may want less bodies. You may want him to be able to play multiple gaps. So you may put, to the comments maybe made earlier, maybe put more backers on the field, maybe put more DBs on the field because you can have a guy like that handle more responsibility up front. So I think we'll see both. I think we'll see versatility into both spots. I mean, they play a ton of different fronts. Like the Lions play a ton of different fronts. 3 down linemen with Houston and Hutch. Okay, I already read that. My bad. Just throwing out ideas for teams like Miami. Oh, Miami. Did we play Miami this year? With so much, were you the guy that asked for the dime and dollar video or that stream segment? I think you must have been the one that asked for that. And we're gonna have to do, especially when training camp pops off. We can kind of put it out there. I'm down with that. We could even do something where we put like a graphic together, talk through it live. We'll do that. I won't do that now, but we'll do that. Barnes need 3-4 outside linebacker D in college where he lined up and he picked off Baker. Yeah, playing on. I mean, he could do that in the 4-3 defense too. The issue is I don't think he's doing enough right now as a pass rusher consistently. That's the issue I have. Now, he was way better than Jack Campbell as a pass rusher when he was on the line. He wasn't better to me than James Houston, even though James Houston was super small sample size. Obviously, the year before, he wasn't. So that still needs to kind of come together. Okay, let's continue here with Jack Campbell, though. We're pushing 50, so I'll see if I can kind of wrap this up within the next 10 minutes on Jack Campbell. Then we'll push it forward to the next topic. Here you see him kind of playing over the slot. Let's not talk about it as a run defender. When he gets contact, he finishes consistently. All right, now let's move on to some of the coverage stuff because this is where I think we want to see him expand the most. The question will be in zone coverage, like where does that expansion come from? And we'll talk about that, or more man coverage, like where does this role fit in? We'll talk about that more towards the end. I have a good example of where I think he can help us out. But his zone coverage, obviously that's an area that I like him. This is just kind of a tackle and open field. So even though he's in coverage there, it wasn't much of a focus on coverage. I think we're actually going to go to some blitzing plays here. I don't love him as a blitzer. Here, he was good. You can see his ability to kind of turn the corner at the top of his rush. Something as well. Another thing he does, he finishes consistently. I remember this at Iowa. Like, he's not going to run by the quarterback much. I'm not going to bring up any names there. Talk about the Dallas game. But he does finish consistently once he gets to the backfield. But as a pass rusher, just beating guys. Obviously, offensive linemen really didn't do that much. Running backs, still a struggle. They kind of just sit down on him and he would just stall him out as a pass rusher. But he was a good blitzer in terms of just finishing on the play. The closing burst isn't great either. So I thought there was a lot of occasions where you kind of get him like in between where he'd like drop and here comes the quarterback. Is like, oh, do I play the quarterback or do I drop? And then he kind of played an in-between game and he didn't have that closing burst to just make a decision and close. Even in space, you would see that a little bit, but especially like chasing down a quarterback. Here he is on the edge. You see him working on the right tackle here. And the biggest thing for me was that there was some versatility. Like he tried a little spin move that had some success. Like, all right, there's some creativity here. He's trying something new. Here against the running back, you see he just gets picked up right here. Boom. One thing that, and this could also, and I think this is why Shed and Blitz play so much together. I don't think he's very good in either category. If you could have, if he could add more ways to evade blocks, even though as a run blocker, he doesn't want to play that role very often. At times, I think it could be valuable to just evade blocks rather than taking everything head on. As a pass rusher, if he can add that element, I think it opens up more for his blitzing capability when a running back does come along to be able to have more moves than just, I'm going to try to basically bull rush you back to the quarterback, because that doesn't work very often. He doesn't get under pads that often. So if we can open up more versatility there, just in terms of straight evading guys, that could open up a little bit. There he is in coverage. I had more of an issue of I don't know what he's looking back for here. Like this is like play speed wise, I don't know what he's looking back for. I see the vertical push on the outside, expecting the cornerback to take it. I don't know what he's looking back for here because he has to get across the field, even though it's a far drop. I just don't know why he was doing that. And there were times like that where I thought he maybe just missed opportunities to actually get his hand on the ball. Will DJ Reader be ready for the start of the season? I think there was optimism recently, like not super recently, but there was optimism that he would be. So hopefully he is. We can make it work if he's not, but I mean, just going based on that, hopefully, I really don't know any more than that. Unless there's like new things out there, man, send them over to me. But I don't know. I mean, hopefully though. Okay, back into the coverage aspect. One thing that I really liked his zone coverage, I thought he played with really nice depth. As a Tampa 2 coverage linebacker, he was pretty good as well. The long speed wasn't great, and that could show up a little bit at times. But he's also very aware to pass those off, will show the body control. And that's one thing that I like. Like body control as a run defender through contact shows up as a pass coverage guy too. And a lot of times, you know, from being around these, what they're looking for the linebackers, man, they want them to get contact. They want linebackers to let the receiver know that they're there. Get contact, right? Throw him off his route, throw off the timing. And I, especially like the Lions fan brought up with Miami, like everything's about timing. Throw off the timing if they're going to cross your path. And I think for Jack Campbell, he can do that because he can get contact, throw off your timing, but also still maintain body control, still be able to move in coverage. That's a huge aspect. And then you see here again, the loose hips, the transition ability. Look at how efficient he is with his footwork here, right? Dropping out receiver, as soon as he breaks it off, he's going to flip his hips back open. He's very efficient with that footwork. Now, that stick, plant, get back to the ball. At times, I think the angles need to be a little bit more aggressive. That way he can play it a little bit better. He's very fluid, not as aggressive. Here's the biggest thing for me, though, in zone coverage. I think for him to become a playmaker on the football, especially in zone, is he has to kind of develop ways to basically bait quarterbacks, right? Win with more football intelligence. Because a lot of times he gets the spots and the quarterback won't even throw the football. And it's like, that was nice. But being able to put a quarterback in a position where he's going to throw that football and he's going to throw it to him, that's the next step for him. Because lengthwise, he doesn't have super long arms. He's just tall. So he's going to just plug passing lanes. It's like, I don't really want to throw that football there. And I think that's where you saw some value of like, show him as a pass rusher. Even though he's not going to give you much of a threat there unless he's unblocked, but then we can drop him. So now it's just more about like, okay, where is everybody at? Now he drops out. Offensive line protections could be thrown off. And then he's effective because he just runs into a passing lane. He gets good depth. He's quick laterally. He's tall. He just kind of gets in the way of things. We'll show some examples of that. But to take the football away, man, I think for him, it's like, you're going to have to bait quarterbacks into it a little bit, right? You're going to have to bait quarterbacks to throw that football. Like here, you see him dropping out. Gets nice depth on here, takes away Mike Evans, and then he's going to drive down and make a tackle here. Another example against Tampa Bay, again, dropping out. I love the depth. He hits his landmark, sees the break, then he floats off of that, fouls the quarterback's eyes. He's really fluid, man. He's really fluid. I think it's huge for upside because even though we're going to be more of a man coverage team, you have to be able to play zone coverage. There's that getting contact and then driving through underneath here, but getting flattered, right? Playing like more aggressively with his angles, I think is kind of the next step because he just doesn't have a lot of plays on the football. Like in college, right, where we saw his lots of plays, he would undercut a route. He undercut an out route. He was fluid. He could transition. He'd undercut, make a great play. He has ball skills. We saw that in college. But he's not a guy that's making a ton of plays at the catch point. I think that's the next step. You see the stats, 35 receptions on 42 targets. Like I want him to take the route away. Bring some of that CD, bring some of that Brian Branch. You're going to have to get a little bit flatter, or you're going to have to set up quarterbacks to throw a pass that isn't actually open. Here's where the smart player. Here with Durst. See, this is what I'm talking about. Alex Anzalone is going to take away the flat. I mean, even in that Dallas game, the amount of times we saw where, hey, here comes the flat. Alex Anzalone, he's taking that thing away. He's playing fast. And we're like, that was awesome. Well, plays like this get set up because he reads it. Sees running back leak out, sees the numbers. We're in quarters. Bet. Alex, go get the flat. I got you underneath here. And there you go. Now, obviously, the quarterback takes off. He gets blocked, and that wasn't great. But you can see the idea was good, here in man coverage. So I'll show two examples. Here in man coverage, turning and run. It's not a strong suit, right? So Kirby helped us out here, jarred it loose. But here's where I like him. So in man coverage, you can still have zone coverage players. You have your deep safety, right? Depending on what coverage you're in, cover one. Here's where I like him. I like him as that hole player, right? Even though there's questions about what is his third down value actually going to be, because if you're in man coverage, I don't want him in a ton of man coverage assignments. But then also, if he can't do it, now I could give away what coverage I'm in by having my linebacker chase around the running back. So if you're cool with that, where's his value? Is he a great blitzer? Well, if he's blocked, he hasn't been. So third down value is going to be the biggest thing that I think we need to, because I know he can play the run. Even though there's things I think can improve there, he can play the run. He's smart. He's going to be consistent. He can play the run. But third down value, can he find a way to add third down value? And for me, an area like this could help. Man coverage, but he's that zone underneath defender here in kind of a goal line situation. And he could read the quarterback size. He can move laterally with ease. You see him take away Debo. He has to go to the second slant on this double slant pattern, and that's taken away by Cam Sutton. That's where I think he can add value right now from what we've already seen in zone coverage, but in a man coverage look defensively. Here's where I think you see a veteran quarterback, Matthew Stafford, look him off on the play, right? You see the transitions, and then you see him kind of lose that route. He has active eyes typically in coverage, which I do like. But this is where it's like, hey, find the receiver. You got to kind of plaster the routes. The high lows levels gave him some problems. And then you get a quarterback like this that's going to look him off here towards the outside. He's going to open him up and then fire it back inside. That's just something right now. It's like, yo, you're a young player. That was like that. That felt like the welcome to the NFL kind of moment away. Even though it was in the playoffs, I'm sure he had one before. That's kind of what that felt like to me. But this is where I like him, to kind of wrap it up. Coverage, man, he's smart. Communicates with Alex, takes away the running back White on the play. Here he is through contact, undercuts the route, kind of taking those angles that you see with guys like Brian Branch, for example. Back into coverage. This is one of my favorites. Watch this. So to notice Brandon Ayuk here one-on-one, right? To notice the motion, running back takes off. Now, what do I have? I have 4 guys going one side of the field. So in coverage, right? We're in a cover. What was this? This is cover 3. Look like some cover 3 here. So you get that look, all of a sudden, a lot of teams will kind of prepare for the flood. So everybody's going to shift that direction. What I like about this, though, is then he's realizing on the backside where, depending on what coverage you're playing, right, you might have your linebacker have to take the 3, and then he has to be aware to step down on that. But the biggest thing for me, what I like about this is for his responsibility to recognize it, see everybody take off one way and say, okay, I can play through this out route. I don't need to kind of sit myself. Like that's where I have to be worried about here. And for him to kind of drive through it, undercut here, and to get in a position where, he's not going to pick that off. But if it was a terrible throw, if he gets tipped up, he's going to be in a spot to pick that off. So then to college, he just has to be in the area. And that was an example. And then this is one of the best ones. Tampa 2, you take the seam. They're setting up a dagger here. And for him to be aware of that, read through the receiver and say, okay, stop. Look at the body control, man. He's breaking down like a corner. And then he's diving on it. Now, the ball didn't go there, but it was still that awareness, which was huge. That's what I think that he just plays with in general. So overall, man, to put some numbers to it, in man coverage last season, he was graded at 50.1, 2 receptions on 5 targets for 87 5 pass rating. They obviously didn't ask him to do a lot of that last season. Alex was, and he was good there. He wasn't a huge sub-package player for us last season anyway. In zone coverage, they gave him a terrible grade, 34.2, 28 targets, 28 receptions on 32 targets, 353 yards, 123 passer rating. I think he was better than that grade shows, because I think there's a lot of things that he does well. There's a lot of times where the ball doesn't even get thrown to him. But overall, those are a couple little tweaks where I think, hey, if we add to these, we can be in a spot where we can take the ball away and add some more upside there to what you can do in zone coverage. Hearing AG talk about Campbell reshaping his body to help with the defects. Is that the right word? Defects? I don't know. I can't read, but I think Campbell lost some weight, helped with mobility while still retaining his strength. That would be tough, but it'd be helpful. I mean, he didn't look big last season, right? He looked kind of slim. So I think getting strong, that could help him against the run. I don't know how much upside is really there in coverage unless he gets down. What was he? So he was listed at 243. I mean, if he gets to 230, I could be really hurting myself, though, against the run, just because he doesn't play that low anyway when taking on blocks. But he is stout because he gets a nice wide base. He's very quick to his spots. So maybe there is some real upside to look at that, because when it felt like he was playing stout, it wasn't because of, man, this guy's under, everybody's fat, or wow, he's just bigger than everybody. It was positioning. So if he can maintain that positioning and now play a little bit faster, because he can take a little bit off at his weight, if he could take a little bit off of that and we could just get a little bit faster athletically, that could be necessary, because I showed you an example of how they can be utilized. But again, you're kind of giving away coverage here, and potentially if you're motioning guys around, or he's having to chase somebody across the field. So if you can hide that because he can add some more upside, he can just run with guys a little bit better. I mean, we had Isaiah Simmons was tall. He can run with guys. You can add some of that. I'm on board with it, Lions fan. I like it. If we can do that, that'd be great. I mean, I don't want him to go 220, okay? But, get a little bit fast. It's a speed game, man. You got to be able to move. He's got the football intelligence to play fast. He's got the fluidity to play fast. He's got the footwork to play fast. Maybe that is something there, and that would be exciting. What up, Deon? We about to get a Super Bowl. It'd be amazing. And watching the San Fran game, man, it just keeps taking me back. Yo, to see that for the first time, that opportunity is still in front of us. And I'm very excited about that. That is still there. Okay, so that's Jack Campbell. Chat, what do y'all think, man? How is Jack Campbell going to perform last year? Or how is he going to perform this next season? What will we say about Jack Campbell when the season was over? What will be the statement? I don't know what I'm asking. Y'all know what like when the season's over, are you going to be like, man, that dude looks like a Hall of Famer? Or are you going to be like, yo, he's not the answer? I don't know. I don't know if you... anyway, let's keep it moving. I said I got less clips here. That one took a little bit longer than I expected, so I'll go a little bit quicker through this one. I don't think this one needs to take that long. I'll just kind of show clips as we talk about it a little bit. But Brodric Martin. But before we get, oh, did I close it? Oh, wow. Okay, hold up. Okay, I closed it. Let me get I did close. I closed that purposely. Let me get this tab back up because I think DT Fan Man brought this up as soon as the show was about to start, or like after it started, and we have a clip of Brodric Martin pushing or pulling a trailer. Yo, hey, now, oh, bro, okay, hold up, let me get this off my. Oh, Mike, okay, you need to stop. What are we doing here? Okay, here we go. So we have this video clip, and we'll start with this for anybody that hasn't seen it. To answer your question, like, hey, this ain't legit unless you see me do it. I've already done it. They just, they didn't have the cameras on and stuff. But no, like, I've done this. To be honest with y'all, this is like usually what I do during the off season. So if you're like, yo, why is no video today? This is why. All right. Some of y'all maybe don't realize that, but like the off season trading is vicious. Okay. This YouTube stuff, like, you got to be in shape. You know what I'm saying? So I actually showed Brodric Martin how to do this. Straight up, technique, form, all those things. So if it looks a little wonky, don't question him, question me. Be like, hey, yo, what are you doing? What are you teaching my guy here? But yeah. So this is an example of what we were working on. This is Brodric Martin. This is a good entry into what we're gonna talk about here and show some clips of.
Work.
Hey, dog.
Yeah, dry.
Hey, how heavy this thing, bro?
Dry.
Look at this dude.
Dry.
That dude is a he looks kind of slim though. I ain't gonna lie. He looked kind of slim there.
Work.
Looks slim there. He never looked like massive, like
dry.
big, but he looked kind of slim there. For 6'5", 330, I think was his listing at the combine. Could be, was it 6? No, I think it was 6'4.5", 330 was what his listing at the combine. He looked good. He looked good. If he plays more confidence, we'll all be good. I like that. I doubt he lives up to the 18th pick, but I hope he does. Okay. Captain Jack Eagles Pro Bowl. Jack is going ham. Okay. All right. I see you, JT. Jack perennial all pro in 2 years. Okay. What does perennial mean? No, straight up. Like, I hear it a lot. I think I know what it means by like association, like perennial, like, oh, consistent. Is that what that means? Perennial. Yo, what up, Boom? Hey, shout out to Boom being in here. This is what you do when you forget keys in your truck. You don't want to go inside to you just pull it. Hey, that's not what I would do. Hold up. You just pull when you forget you said when you forget the keys to your truck, you don't want to go inside to get them. You just pull it with you to work. Dang. Oh, it means every year. Okay. See, that makes sense. Okay. See, I didn't know. I'm straight up. Like, I didn't know what that meant. That's good. See, learn something new. I never probably would have looked that up either. I hear it. I never would have looked it up. Also, I can't really spell it, so I wouldn't. I have some rocks that need moving in my yard. I should call Brodric. Got some rock. Yeah. Okay. Hey, maybe. Hey, if he gets paid for it, like, that might be a little off-season move, man. I move rocks. All right, we gotta get this thing going. Okay, so let's talk about Brodric Martin a little bit here. So Brodric Martin last season played in 3 games. That man played week 8, week 14, and week 15. 6'4.5", 330. He actually tested out somewhat similarly to DJ Reader. DJ Reader listed 6'2.5", 327, 2 inches shorter. Similar 40 time, somewhat similar 3-cone, a little bit worse 20-yard shuttle. There's some similarities in the way they tested. He's got much longer arms. And you can see him right here playing nose tackle. This is the first time we saw him against the Raiders. And you can remember last season, Aaron Glenn talked about how hand usage was something that they felt like they needed to work on. He also brought up lateral agility was an area that needed improvement. He feels like he needs that from the big guys. Ali McNeil's obviously been awesome there, lateral agility. that's an area where I think for him, keeping the pad level down while also moving laterally can be a little bit of a challenge for him. Again, this was the first game, and then we didn't see him again for weeks. So I would assume they walked away from this one like, yo, this got to get better. I like it because what I like is I still think he shows real knee bend. Like there is flexibility for a guy his size. He's not going to look like he's playing underneath pads very often because he's just not. He's massive on the interior, but I still feel like there is flexibility that does get shown there. As a pass rusher, he didn't really show the flashes that I think maybe you would hope for. There was a little bit there, specifically the upper body push that he would show a little bit there. He can move laterally. It's just kind of staying square to the line of scrimmage and moving laterally. He's a force, so he's going to be tough to move anyway. As long as he keeps up with you and he stays under his feet, he's going to be tough to move off the line anyway. And you can see that right here. I mean, he just drops the guy to the ground. Obviously, he's got an inside alignment, and right off the line, he's pretty darn reactive. Got on him squarely, and he just ran him into the ground. But then you get to a play like this, the point that was brought up earlier, right? This is where you get kind of that zero technique look and get him off the line of scrimmage, and you get the footwork into the air a little bit through contact. You see his pads rise, and he kind of sits himself down. He becomes top heavy, and his top is thrown off, and he doesn't have a base underneath him. I think his footwork, footwork into positioning to actually be able to sink and hold his ground a little bit better. He also doesn't play with he didn't play with a ton of force on contact. Like, he didn't feel like he was jolting guys against the run like he was as a pass rusher. I didn't think he was creating force as well as they would have liked to, especially in his first game at the point of attack. Like, you see him in pass rusher, he creates force in the upper body alone. I didn't think you felt much of that as a run defender this past season. Again, a little bit top heavy, gets moved off the spot a little bit there with the double team, and that's where they need him to be more consistent because that's where he's going to add value. Saw him against Chicago. There is a little bit of that like long arm. There's that upper body push that he can give, and he gives a lot of effort, so he's going to get some of that. You see him here against the center, kind of just walling back. He's a lot longer than a lot of guys he's going to see. Then you go to Denver, and Denver, it was like, okay, it felt like there was an attention to my base. There was attention to, I got to stay wide based here, and you can see it on contact, like my hands, maybe got to be a little bit faster, got to be a little bit more forceful. Not as bad, at times dealing with some of the double teams. Still not great, though. You saw some of the bend there. Just, here, like, for example, where he's working back over the gap, his footwork get tight. They're not underneath him. Lateral agility gets brought up. Doesn't really sit himself down. Gets pushed off the play. And then as a pass rusher, he should be right here on the play. Brodric Martin. Let me see. Yeah, this was just, I don't even know why I put this in here, to be honest. He was kind of trying to set up a game with Aiden Hutchinson. Got off the ball. Hand usage, didn't really get off the block that much. And he kind of just got caught spinning around on this play. Got off the ball well. I think he's very reactive to the snap. He was like that in college. And when he's going, he plays a lot of aggression. We saw that in college too. Like, the guy can run. And then here for the inside alignment, you see off the ball, he's trying to seemingly stay low, keep his pads low reactively. But with that, agility-wise, I think a lot of times he also played with like forward momentum, where instead of like playing in the lower body and pushing that forward, it was almost like he was playing with like forward lean instead. So here laterally, playing behind the line of scrimmage, is just moving laterally with lower pad level. He's unable to keep his footwork underneath him, and then he falls. He's not able to keep some of that body control. I felt like you were seeing a lot of flashes of things. It was just like bringing the whole picture together was the challenge for him. Right here against the center. I mean, look how he gets off the ball here. First off, he gets off the ball a lot quicker, but then he rises kind of immediately. You don't get like the lateral. You don't get like a low push off the ball. It's kind of like that first step is just straight up. Then he gets punched in the chest, and his hands are kind of like reacting to it. And now he's just kind of in a scramble mode. Like, this overall, okay. I'm glad you brought this up because I think DJ Reader can help him a lot. I really do. Like, for me, as I put it, year two leap may not come in terms of like, oh, he's going to take DJ Reader's spot. I mean, he may have to play in a couple of games because, he may miss some time. But I think overall, like, he's a really good person to learn from is DJ Reader, because DJ Reader, even coming out of college, he played with good leverage. He'd win single blocks. This guy is a beast, man. He's a beast. Like, he doesn't even have to do things that look great, and he's just running people over. He's a monster. There's a ton of upside here. And he's like, I brought up the testing scores because it's not like there's always like gaps between the two in terms of what they can do athletically or what they could do athletically. DJ Reader has been able to make it work. He's been able to play in a lot of different schemes. He's been able to work over blocks. And I think you see some of the bend and things that you need to from Brodric Martin, that you'd want to see for upside there. It's just got to bring it all together. So I actually think it's great for Brodric Martin in that sense, where maybe we don't see it early, maybe we see it later, but year two leap is very helpful to me, being able to learn from a guy like DJ Reader. It is truly the perfect, I think Hungry Panda brought this up. Was that you, Hungry Panda? Or someone else that brought up like, yo, I signed like the vets in free agency. While I'm out here trading the vets, they want to have a guy that can actually help the young players get better. That's probably the smarter decision. I'm just finessing the game a little bit. But this was the perfect guy to put ahead of this. And actually, you know what's interesting is when you look around the league, DJ Reader should have been in very high demand. I understand not every defense uses him, and some of them just don't do it. And maybe some of them don't value stopping the run like we do. But there's a lot of teams that don't have a good nose tackle. That is a position that's completely up in the air. It's pretty hard seemingly to find these guys, but the flip side is you can also find these guys later in the draft if you get the right development out of them. We have a great defensive line coach right now, and you have a guy that's perfect to kind of work in front of him and kind of bring him along. So I'm excited for both of them. Jack Campbell's going to get the reps. Jack Campbell, for me, it's fine to third down value, and it's a lot for Brodric Martin to kind of that you want to see come along. But, man, learning from a guy like DJ Reader doesn't get much better than that. And I think we have a leg up on a lot of teams on defensive front. So when we saw, and this kind of puts it into perspective, you'll see this in a second. When we saw PFF rank the Lions as the 4th best defensive line in football, and it's like, whoa, really? The interior defensive line, the reason to be hyped about that is because it's not only that the Lions have it, it's because a lot of teams don't. A lot of teams do not have two good defense tackles next to each other. Some of the best defense. Look at the Jets. We're going to talk about them. They have Quentin Williams and they have Javon Kinlaws next to him. There's a lot of teams that just don't have another piece next to it. Chris Jones and was it Noddy last season? Derek Noddy? Like a lot of teams don't have the 1-2 in the interior. So it's actually awesome that we have that right now. And some teams just stay away from it. They don't even basically try to find it. But I don't know. I think it's pretty awesome that we have that. And the way that the contracts are set up, we have it with one guy getting paid and one not getting paid yet because he's on the rookie deal. It also makes sense why the Lions, first draft, they said, let's get the DT. And then they're like, yo, let's get the pure nose tackle. Like, it makes sense why they invested that. And they were willing to invest again on a guy that they thought would take time. 25 teams don't have a good nose tackle. And there you go. Right now, every scheme maybe needs it. Same thing. Every scheme would want DJ Reader. But a lot of the teams don't have a good 1-2. So, I don't know. I think that's something that's worth bringing up. All right, let's move on now to what do we want to do this? Yeah, let's do this now. We're going to do, and I forgot my banner. What are we doing? We got to get the banner back up. Banner looked good, and I got rid of it. Let's move on to AFC East. AFC East predictions. Let's go each team in the AFC East. This won't take too long, but I've had some fun with this, man. In our last 2 shows, we did other AFC divisions. I predicted where they're going to finish this season. I'm going to show you guys the depth chart as we go through this. But let's do it, man. We're going to go through the AFC East here. I have them wrote down and where I'm going to have them finish. Y'all can throw your predictions. Tell me where you think each team finishes to in this division. We're not going win total. We're just going where they finish in their division. And we will start off in no order. We're going to start off with Miami because it got popped up first. Let's start off with Miami. AFC East division. Okay, I probably should take the thing back off the screen. You know what? It looked cool, but okay. Glitching out. So, okay, here we go. I'm like, yo, I don't think this thing's working, but we got it back on. All right, Miami. We'll start Miami first. My man said Jets, Miami, Bills, New England. Okay, we'll start off with Miami. And when I look at this Miami team, and we always go through the roster, obviously the coaching staff matters a ton here. Mike McDaniel's done his thing. We know the receiving core is fire. The starters are fire. They have 3 great receivers, or 2. I don't want to say Odell's not. I mean, they got Odell. Let's see on health-wise there. But the 3, I like their 3 a lot. Beyond that, Eric. Hey, yo, shout out to Eric. If y'all remember, man, back to Texas Tech, we talked about Eric, bro. That dude could run. So there's speed there. They definitely didn't miss out on there. They got Barrios. They also got Malik Washington, which is the sleeper, man. That is the steal over here. Anthony Schwartz. I mean, it's speed. He wasn't good with Cleveland, but it's speed out of Auburn. And then their offensive line, pretty strong at tackle. But the question is Armstead's health, which they drafted Patrick Paul for some backup here. And they lost Robert Hunt. So they have moving parts. I mean, they list Aaron Brewer at center, but they also lost Connor Williams. Real quick side note, my man Michael. What's up, Michael? Hey, it's good to see you, man. How you doing? Side note here, Connor Williams, who was their center last season, that was really good. And I was thinking about doing a full show on this. We may still. I just haven't found enough good names that I wanted to discuss here. But as a side note, Connor Williams is still a free agent. Now I'm going to assume he's waiting for a team to come along that's like, he said he would sign. The rumor is he's going to sign before training camp. And I assume he's probably going to sign somewhere where they feel like he can start. But if he's not into a position where he feels like he has to start and he's cool with signing a backup deal and he just wants to win, Connor Williams, come to Detroit, my boy. Come to Detroit. He's projected to get like a 3 or $22 million deal. I don't think I'd pay him that to be a backup. But in a world like you signed a guy like that, I think he's coming off a pretty serious injury, and he could be our backup center this season. I really like the battle that we have. It's not necessary, but just, hear me out. You did that, and then, we'll see what happens with Frank. You got some flexibility next year. Just something to keep an eye on. I don't know. It's not going to happen, but just something to keep an eye on. Anyway, all right, we'll keep this thing rolling. Let's continue on. Here. So we like the receiver room. O-line's a little bit questionable. We'll see how that goes. And then running back, they have speed across the board. And then they got my man Chris Brooks, who averaged like 6 yards a carry last season, but he's not speed. So they definitely mixed it up there. And then, of course, Tua. And then you go to the defense side, and just like I talked about, interior defense fine. Very shaky. They got Benito, so apparently he is DJ Reader, so maybe I'm wrong on this. But Tierra Tart, I like the player, but he's not coming off a great season. That ended very weird last season. Calais Campbell, that's a nice mix. They got Deshaun Hand too. I didn't know he was still. Hey, shout out to Deshaun Hand. I honestly didn't know he was still in the league, but shout out to him. And then the big question is going to be pass rusher. Jalen Phillips, they haven't listed PUP. There's an injury. There's speculation when he's going to be ready, that kind of thing. They drafted Chop Robinson. Some people thought it was a reach. Chop was a good player in college. And then at linebacker, they got some speed there. Their back end, I really like it. Kendall Fuller's a nice addition. They got a vet. They added that to Cam Smith. I don't think he did much last season, but Jalen Ramsey's still in there. I mean, it's a strong safety room. You have a really strong secondary. Overall, you have the coaching staff. You know what you're going to get. The question there is Tua going to get paid? I personally am putting Miami. And, man, if you guys were in any of the Bleacher Report streams, which, hey, tune in this year, man. If you weren't last year, tune in. We do weekly predictions, and it's a ton of fun. I loved Miami last season, and I would pick them a lot. And they let me down sometimes. Sometimes they didn't, but I took them over some good teams, and that's where they would let me down. I have Miami. And I like a lot of things about Miami. I have Miami third in the division. I am having Miami finish third in the AFC East. That feels crazy, but man, this is a tough division. I'm going to put Miami at number 3. Let's move on to the New England Patriots. And for whatever reason, I always like what the Patriots do. First off, let me say this. So Belichick's gone. We know they've drafted. It hasn't been great the last couple of years, but I loved some of the draft picks they made. Right, Charles Turner was nice out of LSU. Layden Robinson out of A&M. Caden Wallace, my guy out of Penn State. So they took 3 offensive linemen after last year taking, I think, 2+. A lot of offensive linemen. And it's still not a great offensive line, right? You got Okorafor, who hasn't really started much. He's going to start at left tackle, it seems. You have Mike Onwenu, who's going to right tackle. I don't even know what that's going to look like, to be honest. But I like the draft picks, but they're depth pieces, and it's about really the top unit here. I like what they did at receiver. Jalen Polk was a dog. He's going to be a dog there. They need it. Kendrick Bourne, I like Kendrick Bourne too. Demario Douglas was a nice surprise last season. Javon Baker, that's cool. Plug it into like a 4 role. And then I think they dropped some of the things here on Kayshawn. Of course, it's that quarterback. When does Drake May start versus Jacoby Brissett? They also have Joe Milton there. And then defensively, actually, I think this is one of the most well-rounded defenses in this division. It's a very strong division, but because defensive line, I like it. Christian Barmore got a big deal as he should have. Keon White. Really like Keon White coming out of Georgia Tech. Matthew Judon, we'll see if something happens there. Then they got like kind of the same guys. Josh Uche, Anthony Jennings both came back. They both need to round out their game. Then at linebacker, Tavai got an extension, 3 years, $50 million. Congrats, Jelani. He's made it work there. He's actually fit in really well with them, and he was always fit for that scheme. And then you have Juwan Bentley. They had a Sione Taki, which is nice because he did well in Cleveland. And then at cornerback, like Christian Gonzalez come back healthy. He was awesome before he was hurt. Y'all know I loved Christian Gonzalez. He's my favorite corner in that draft. So to have Christian Gonzalez back to be huge. Marcus Jones has been a big-time returner for them as well. Safety's pretty nice. And then Jonathan Jones, I really like their defense well-rounded. I don't love their top end, and it's a question at quarterback. So as much as I hate to do it, I got him at number 4 in the division. But hey, man, like straight up, I like their O-line. I like what they're doing, but I just don't think their top-end talent's there right now. It's going to take some time. I think they're going to have some, tough, gutty wins, and there's going to be some hype there. And Gerard Mayo's not in a hot seat or anything. But it just feels like at very least they're a year away from really making potentially a big impact. So I have them number 4 in the AFC East. Now it comes down to the big 2. Number 3 is you. Number 3, you wild. I am a little wild. Look, we were wild in the last one too. I kind of have to be through the predictions. So let's move on to the top two. A great man, ready for the season, so we can stop freaking about fake rumors and mock trades that don't make any sense. Hey, that's what we do over here. No, actually, we haven't had a lot of those. Have we had a lot of those? I don't think so. We've had a few. I was going to bring another one up, but I don't think we did it. I don't even remember who it was. I was going to bring one up. Oh, I heard Devontae Adams, but it was like, you can't really do that with the money. Unless, like, he just took less because he doesn't have a ton of guarantees. Anyway, Brandon Ayuk obviously was the buzz there, but we talked about that one. We didn't say that made sense. Okay, here we go. Let's go. I mean, no order here. Let's go Buffalo. So whoever I say is one or two here, you know who the other team is. But Buffalo, look, man, straight up, Stephon Diggs, who's kind of a mess there. I think Buffalo's strategy is clear. Here's what I think, bro. They want to run the football. They want to use 12 personnel. They want to do kind of like they did last season at the end. They were actually winning, even though Allen wasn't putting freaky numbers. They won games. Keon Coleman, I like him. I like Keon Coleman, man. Keon Coleman's the guy that I like from this draft. I think he's going to work out. He's in a good situation to work out. Opportunity is going to be there. Khalil Shakir needs to step up. It's not a good receiver room. Like it's really not. I mean, you have an unproved receiver, Keon, even though I like him. It's not a good receiver room across the board. KJ Hamler, Andy. I mean, you got a lot of guys that just haven't lived up to it. You got Justin Shorter. I didn't realize he was a 5th-round pick out of Florida. It's not really a good receiving room. It's like, what can you get out of that? And it almost feels like Buffalo in a lot of ways kind of took a step back. Like they don't have like big time playmakers out wide. It's more like, how can these guys, it's almost like, how can they complement what I think they want to buy into, which is we're going to have multiple tight ends, which is Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, and we're going to run the football. And I think we see that there's Ty Johnson. By the fact that we drafted Ray Davis, Frank Gore as an undrafted, and we have Ty Johnson and James Cook. We want to run the football. We're going to invest in that. We brought in David Edwards. He's going to start at guard. There are some questions about the O-line. Torrance needs to take a step up. Connor McGovern going to center. They added Cedric Van Pran, which we liked in the draft. They have some nice tackles. To me, that's the style here. They're going to utilize his legs, and I think they're going to be fine with that. That's how they're going to play this season. So I like the fact that I think there's clarity. I think Buffalo is very clear on who they want to be, what they want to do, and I think that that's going to help them. Defensively, I love the addition of Daquan Jones. I love it. I think that's huge for them in the interior. Speaking of interior teams, to put him next to Ed Oliver is going to be huge. Daquan Jones can get after the passer too, and playing Miami, you have to be able to get after passer. Jets, he can help you there. Greg Russo's been awesome. AJ Epenesa's still there, but Von Miller's still there. I didn't even know that straight up. Dwayne Carter, I really like Dwayne Carter out of Duke. And then when you move back, they just get really strong. Safety is a little bit up in the air because you got a rookie in Cole Bishop, but I was a big fan of Cole Bishop out of Utah. Taylor Rapp, been reliable. Actually, today, Eddie Jackson just signed with Baltimore, so they just add another safety to that mix. Makes a ton of sense. It's funny, we were recently talking, not over here, but they were just talking about, like, Baltimore makes a lot of sense to go add another safety, add him with Kyle Hamilton. They just did that, but it's their secondary. I thought the Rasul Douglas trade was awesome. I like the Rasul Douglas trade more. Here's what I said. I think I said it like this. We were on Bleacher Report. We were doing if you guys remember, we were doing a trade deadline live, and a lot of the buzz was trying to go get Chicago's corner. Who was Chicago's corner? He just got the extension. I can't think of his name. It was that guy, and it was Rasul Douglas. And when Rasul Douglas got traded, I liked the trade that they gave up for Rasul Douglas much more than trying to trade for Chicago's corner. Thought the value was just much better. Rasul Douglas is a good corner. We saw him for years as Lions fans. He's a legitimately good corner. So I thought that was a big trade. I still think that's huge for them. I think it's super underrated just from the outside looking in. Benford's been good. They still have Kyer Elam there. And they have Teron Johnson, who's been good. So the depth is a little bit shaky, but the starters are nice. I really like what they have. Oh, Johnson. There you go. A lot of Johnsons. Is it Johnson? There's a lot of Johnsons. I like what they have. Especially starters. And their secondary is really good. And I love that they have clarity. Jalen Johnson. Okay, it is Johnson. All right. Hey, I appreciate you, Keith, though, and Peanut. But at number 2 in this division, I have the Buffalo Bills. That's right. I'm taking the Jets to win the division. This is going to go wrong. This is going to go sideways so fast. I have the New York Jets winning this division. First place, the AFC East, followed by Buffalo. Look, the Jets beat Buffalo with Zach Wilson to open the year. Buffalo played a ton of close games to end last season. I like their clarity. I like that they know who they are, and that may actually make them better this year. I could be a little bit wrong that putting them at 2. I feel good at 2 at least, but I got the Jets winning this division, man. And I'm scared. Again, I think Rodgers is rated way too high, but this isn't about Rodgers is going to be top 5. He's awesome. It's not about that, Michael. Trust me, it's not. If it was about that, they would not be 1. It has nothing to do with that. I think he's an upgrade, clearly. I think Tyrod Taylor's an upgrade from what they have. If Tyrod Taylor was their quarterback, it'd be an upgrade. So it's not about that, but it's about this. The concern is the receiver room, and it's a legitimate concern because you got a good back end you have to deal with Miami. You have a very good back end in Buffalo. That's the biggest concern. It's health. Mike Williams is already hurt. Garrett Williams, we know is good. I love Malachi Corley. You just give him the ball, let him go. He's going to be awesome there. I am a fan of Jason Brownlee. Y'all know, going back a couple years. And Lazard, we'll see. Their offensive line on paper is solid. They have a solid player in Simpson who they added. Vera Tucker, solid if healthy. 2 nice tackles. And then they go add Fashanu in the draft. Joe Tittman out of Wisconsin, kind of wait for that jump still. Breece Hall, they have good running backs, and they added depth to it. So they have a guy, to back up Breece Hall. He's missed some time. I didn't even know they had Nick Bawden as their fullback. And then defensively, like a strong, again, I don't love Javon Kinlaw. I don't love the depth behind it. They have Bruce Hector, though. Hey, shout out to Bruce Hector. They added Leonard Taylor. Leonard Taylor got hurt already? I didn't know that. That stinks. Is that the same Leonard Taylor, the rookie out of Miami? That stinks. But we'll see with the Hassan Reddick situation. It's messy. I get it. I really like Will McDonald, though. So I feel good about that backup. And then their secondary is one of the best. Like DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner, they've been one of the best. They're one of the best. Michael Carter, they have solid safety play between Chuck Clark and Tony Adams. They got guys that can take the ball away. They did lose Jordan Whitehead, who took the ball away last year. I just think that this is such a good defense, a team that can win with a mess at quarterback. They've shown that the last couple of seasons. As ugly as this may be, I don't have full conviction. To me, it's really down to 2. Like, I like things about Miami, but I don't love things about Miami. So I'm okay with putting the Jets above Miami. It's really Buffalo because I think Buffalo has clarity. I don't know that the Jets fully do, but I think that the Jets, if they can just get closer to what they're capable of, I think I could make the pretty nice case that they're just a better team than Buffalo. And because of that, I'm taking a swing. I'm putting the Jets at 1. Safely, if I was like betting, putting money on this, I'd put Buffalo 1. I'd put the Jets at 2. I'd put Miami at 3. I'd put New England at 4. But we're here live. I think upside-wise, I got to put the Jets at 1 because I think they're capable of just winning this division and they're capable of being the best team in this division. Doesn't mean further in the playoffs, but winning the division. I think they're very capable. So that is how I see the AFC East finishing. Probably going to be wrong, but hey, I got to be right on one of them. Maybe it's this one. Actually, I don't have to be. I could be wrong on all of these. So yeah, we'll leave that there. Before we get out of here, we're going to react to last show's comments. I also, we have topics. I think I'll save this for with Rad, but, talk some NBA, talk some stuff like that. I'll save that for Rad. This show's going a little bit long. I was going to potentially do that today. Just went a little bit longer, so I don't think it's necessary. We'll save it. Michael says the Jets are a team full of broken toys. They are. They just haven't come together and play like a team. Can't trust them. And that's very fair. It's very fair. I would not put money on this, but I think they have the most potential, to go win this thing outright, comfortably. Really, they're too good defensively, man. They're too good defensively. If their offensive line is just somewhat healthy, they're too good on the offensive line. I think they have to do it. All right, let's see the comments. So last show, again, guys, comment after this show is over. Put in comments. I'll read it as long as there's not too many. We haven't had that many yet, though, so it's been fine. First comment comes from Kenneth, who says, "You are okay, Detroit Lions." Shout out to Kenneth, man. He's been saying like, "Yo, go Lions, you're awesome Lions," or something like that, and now he's here saying, "You are okay, Detroit Lions." I see you, Kenneth. I know that was directly for this, so I appreciate you. Pistons Summer League, ESPN 7X. Ooh, maybe a live stream. Okay, we might do that. We'll think about it. I'll think about it. Texas could win Super Bowl. Okay, you're crazy. But you're not crazy too. Like, it's very possible. I have the Texans finishing second though. So I'm actually probably the crazy one. Great stream. Thanks. Shout out to Missy Colleen. Oh, shout out to Colleen. Brian Branch, a top 3 defender on our team. Facts. I think that's top 3 defender on our team. Yeah. I would put DJ Reader up there. I'd put Aiden Hutchinson, and you could throw Brian Branch in there. From what we've seen so far, what we know about these guys up to this point, for not betting on what they could be, Brian Branch is, for me, a top 3 player of what they've done so far. Aleem McNeil, though, will be kind of like, hold up, actually, I should be there. But I think even if you went to the future, like, you could make the case Brian Branch is a top 3 defender. I don't dislike that one, Tyson. 134, I wouldn't say crazy, but it does sound like you're wearing a mustache you got in a Happy Meal. Wait, what? What was that comment? That comment was so random, dog. My man's so loggy. Said I wouldn't say crazy, but I don't know what he said 134. Was that the very beginning? All right, now we got to pull up the stream. So I can see, because maybe there was like an image of me looking crazy. But my man said, it does look like you're wearing a mustache you got in a Happy Meal. Wow. All right. That wasn't necessary. I'll be honest, dog. Let me see. Let me pause it at 134 so we really know what my guy's talking about here. It's a terrible spot to pause the video. Okay. All right. Let me see. Okay. I mean, look, man, you really timestamped a terrible spot here. Look, bro, here's the thing. Here's the thing. All right. You know those like fake mustaches with the nose and then they got the glasses? Tell me those mustaches aren't fire. No, I mean, straight up. Tell me that, like, if that was real, right? And you'd be like, yo, that's fire. So in a way, I think he's complimenting me like, yo, that's actually kind of fire. And plus, did you say for McDonald's? Is that what he said? He said for McDonald's? Oh, in a Happy Meal. So yeah, McDonald's. Everybody likes Happy Meals. Like, you know what I mean? Find me a person that doesn't rock with a Happy Meal. I'll find you a liar because it just doesn't exist. Now, look, afterwards, you may not love it, but everybody rocks with a Happy Meal. If I pulled up and I was like, yo, Happy Meal. Oh, and it comes with a toy? What's the toy? It's a fake mustache. Are you kidding me? Hold up. You tell me. All right? You tell me. Would you rather have a fake mustache as your toy or this? I mean, the head comes off and I don't even know what this is. I don't know what this is. Is this a potato? I don't know. I would prefer the fake mustache. I don't know what this is. It's crazy. He's crazy. You did me dirty. Okay. This has been a straight work in progress, dog. No, I appreciate you commenting though. I would have. Okay. Here's the last comment from Trey77. What up, D-Ray? McDonald's sucks. Yeah. You know what? I don't really go to McDonald's, but Sir Richard, if I saw you at training camp, we were like, hey, yo, what's up? And I was like, bro, hey, we just hit McDonald's. I got this extra Happy Meal, bro. You want it? There ain't no way you're being like, nah, don't give me that Happy Meal. You'd be like, okay, I'll take the Happy Meal. You'd be like, I'll throw it away for you. And then you're eating it's a Happy Meal. It makes you happy. They have this little smiley. I mean, Happy Meals are just classic. Just the box. All right. Just the box is fine. And then you get a toy. All right. Especially if it's a fake mustache. I would take that. I don't know what this is. Okay. I don't know what this is. McDonald's. This is your sign to do better. Okay. I don't know what this is. Thing looks crazy. Last comment. I would have felt so much better if we would have brought back Reynolds and Chark. Oh, Reynolds and Chark. Hold up. I got to find the top of this dude's helmet thing. Reynolds and Chark. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised we didn't bring back Chark because now we've been without him for a year. I did like DJ though. Reynolds. Okay, I'll give you one of the two. I can understand one of the two. Both were unrestricted. Reynolds signed a 2-year, 14. And the thing about Reynolds too is like we heard the Lions wanted him back. It didn't happen. He didn't sign a big deal whatsoever. He signed a pretty cheap deal. I can't remember what we compared it to, but I think, oh yeah, we compared it to Khalif. It's actually less money per year than Khalif Raymond. So Trey, this is why I did the Khalif Raymond video. If you have not seen it, go check it out, man. I think it would be perfect for you. Go check out my Khalif Raymond video if you're watching this. But I can't really argue with what you're saying here. Like, yeah, what I feel like more confident is like I know exactly what I have. Yes, I wanted Josh Reynolds back. Yes, Reynolds' downfield blocking was amazing. I like Josh Reynolds. I wanted him back. I think the Lions wanted him back, and it didn't happen. Maybe he didn't want to be back. I don't know. Maybe he didn't love living in Detroit. To have both of them for $12 million in one season would give me a lot of confidence. Yeah, I wouldn't have signed both back unless you're saying like replace one for Peoples-Jones. I wouldn't have signed both. I also still love that opportunity that it gives Jameson to take off. I think he could have done that. He could have done that with one of those two still here, is still take off into a big role. But the fact that the Lions did re-sign Khalif Raymond, in fairness, they did re-sign Khalif Raymond when they did. They can have an expansion within this role. I don't think it's necessary. Again, I think for us, it's so much about, it doesn't have to be a receiver. It's the fact that it's who is going to, it's like, I don't know what to say like that. don't look at it on paper as it, like if you looked at Buffalo, like I just showed Buffalo. Buffalo has a pretty awful receiving core, if we're being honest. Like, from what we know, it's pretty terrible. They had a rookie who's like their guy. And then Khalil Shakir. I like Khalil Shakir. It's not a great receiving core, but everybody's style is going to be different. And they're going to look at it as like, hey, we're going to play through the tight ends. They're going to play through the run game. Like, they have a plan. I think for the Lions, we have to look at it not the same as like, oh, we're just going to throw to tight ends, but in the same way of like, yo, there's only one ball to go around. And for the Lions, I still think they're going to add a receiver at some point. We'll see who. Maybe one of these young guys, Isaiah Williams, maybe Caden, maybe one of these young guys does really well, Fountain, and they just make the team. But you have to look at it, I think, beyond just what are the receivers, because it's not like Madden in the sense that, Ben, he's going to be creative. He's going to use Sam Laporta like receiver. We use St. Brown as a wide receiver. So even though, as you say, they have been 2 X receivers for the last couple of years, again, that label, I don't think is always that important. I think we use that label a ton. Who's the X receiver? Like, I don't think it's that important. Again, you're talking about what guy can win at the line of scrimmage. For the Lions, they're hoping that Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to be that guy, because he showed us last year. Donovan Peoples-Jones was better at getting off the line of scrimmage, I would argue, in a very small sample size than Josh Reynolds. He has at least more upside there. Josh maybe did it longer. There were certain games we used him, certain games he was not involved. Like I always bring up Atlanta. We didn't even throw him the football. I don't think we threw him the football once. Maybe we did. And then there's games like Carolina where it's like, oh, he was awesome. So, he wasn't going to be dominant in every game. Who can get off the line of scrimmage is what you need in your X receiver. A guy that's going to play on the line of scrimmage. That's what's important there. And as long as the guys feel like they have that guy that can deal with the press, they'll be okay in that sense. Like, I don't think that label is as important as we throw it to it, depending on your offense. The offenses now, we play so condensed offensively. You have so much movement. It's not like your typical, like, hey, I need Herman Moore out wide. Like, it's not that way anymore. And we have so many moving parts that it's more so about just what weapons do you have and how can you get them the football? It goes back to the thing we said last year. It's like, yo, if you could put the best 11 on the field, or I think it would actually put the best 6. Who are your best 6 weapons? Put them on the field, and then you make it work. You just figure it out after that. It's nice to have a wide receiver that's 6'3". You can throw the ball when you're in the red zone. And that's the thing, too. The Lions in the red zone haven't thrown the jump ball. Honestly, I don't even know if the Lions have thrown the jump ball one time in the red zone. Guy, am I wrong? Can you guys think of a fade that we've thrown? Like Quintez Cephas, I can remember in our first season, we threw a little back shoulder, like really quickly at the end of that game. If they have, it's a handful over the entire time that Goff been here that we've thrown a back shoulder fade. Unless it was like the LA Rams, where it was before half, where it was like, just throw it to the sideline, where it really wasn't a chance. For the Lions, they've actually more so used backside slant, right? Fake toss, backside slant, Josh Reynolds, or back of the end zone dig, or it was, it's mainly been Amon-Ra St. Brown. We're going to sit you right on front of the end zone, and you're going to throw it down and away. That's where the ball is going to go. Or it's been, hey, get him out of the backfield, right? Jahmyr Gibbs. We've thrown some in the back of the end zone. I know that we threw that one to Josh Reynolds in the back of the end zone. He didn't come up with it, though, against Baltimore. So, and DJ Chark, to me, isn't a go up and get it kind of guy in the red zone. Like, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking of like a legitimately physical. Donovan Peoples-Jones to me is built to do that. If you want a guy to do that, he's built to do that better than the other two because he's more explosive. He has really good sideline awareness in terms of that ability to toe tap the sideline. He's more so built to do that, I would say, than either of those two that you brought up. But I do feel what you're saying here in general. It's harder for short players, slot players. So that's the thing too. And I don't know what percentages are, but I know that we've more so used St. Brown sitting down than any of those other things. And we've seen guys like Sam Laporta, the dig routes. Like, we've seen variety there. Back of the end zone has been the bigger thing. Peoples-Jones is built to do that. Even if you go back to last year when Goff threw it like behind, out of the end zone, he threw it behind kind of everybody. It was Peoples-Jones in the back of the end zone. I believe that they were trying to get to the football, and it just didn't happen. Pressure came in. Goff kind of threw it on the run. He threw it behind. It went out of bounds. We tried that. So St. Brown got a fade when a cornerback fell at his feet. The cornerback fell at his feet. Wait, what play was that? What play was that? Are you talking about the one that was like the fade that he ran where it was the over the shoulder? Oh, no, I know what player you're talking about. You're talking about 2022. You're talking about 2022. I was at that game. That was Baltimore. I think. Was that Baltimore? No, that was Washington. That was the Goff 4 touchdown day. It was Washington, where he just kind of threw it up there to him, and he kind of like positioned, the cornerback fell, and that's what you're talking about. Okay, fair. There was that one. That was not by design, but there was that one. I know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. It took me a second to get to it. I know what you're talking about. Bring back Cephas. Doesn't drive it. Hey, I like Cephas, bro. Cephas just got signed, though. I think Cephas just got signed to a team. Let me actually check. I think Cephas just signed. Signs with the Houston Texans 3 days ago. I like Quintez, man. I mean, I don't know how Lions felt about him. I always like Quintez. I would love Quintez for depth. I always like Quintez. I'm with you there. With Manu, who knows? Laporta and Peoples-Jones good in contested passes. And the Lions are doing everything they can to avoid that, right? They try not to throw contested passes. It's harder for short slot players. Let me get this. When the end zone is a huge defender. If you're 3rd and 9 on the 6, so if you're 3rd and 6 on the 9, I think he's saying it's very hard to receivers get open. So yeah, I think we kind of addressed that, but I feel where you're coming from. I would, I'd be on board with having either of those guys. I like them both. And I think the Lions still probably will add another receiver at some point. Maybe not a big name, maybe not a trade, maybe it will be. I think we're going to see another name in here at some point for competition. I don't think they're done tinkering around with that room. And I think there's other positions that could be the case. We know they have a roster spot open. But anyways, I think we hit on everything we needed to. I'll save the basketball talk for later. And we can get to that, when that time comes. But for now, Cam Hayward, I saw the buzz on that. I don't think it makes really much sense at all, actually, because then you would have to extend him. It's like, I don't want to pay Cam Hayward right when I'm about to pay Liam McNeil and I'm already paying DJ Reader. Like, to me, that doesn't make much sense. So I didn't really go into that one. I've heard it. I just don't think it makes any sense. Speak to Michael's point. But yeah, if anything else pops up, we'll discuss it. DPJ not so much during OTAs. I don't know if he's really going to do much this year. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't see OTA. I mean, if that's what the reports were, I don't know. I can remember. The only thing I remember from, because we went to OTAs. They had one day that was open to fans. And we were there because we were like with the loyal members. And I remember Shane Zylstra eating, but obviously there's no pads. I don't think there's pads or anything during OTAs. So yeah, we'll find out a lot during training camp. But he was good when the play was designed to go to him. He got open. I know that. And he was good in the deep comeback, good in the deep outs, but it's obviously just having a bigger role. But I don't think for Peoples-Jones it's necessary. And I think I said this when we traded for him. Peoples-Jones is never going to have to be a guy that has to get 4 receptions, 3 a game. He's going to have some games where I think he can hit that number and other games where he doesn't see the ball. Like, he's going to have to be able to play a role similar to what we've seen the last couple of years with some of our wide receivers. He's just going to have to be able to, like, if we play Chicago and they're playing man and they're pressed up, he's going to have to be able to win that slant one-on-one if that's where the coverage dictates. You got the one-on-one, he's going to have to win that role. And I think we saw that he was able to do that last season. It's more so about the timing for him getting that going offensively. But, I mean, yeah, he's going to battle, though. I don't think he's locked into his spot. His contract definitely isn't. Antoine Green, like, he's going to have dudes pushing him to keep him from having that role. But then it comes back to J-Mo. It's like, that's where J-Mo needs to take off. Open up everything. Anyway, I'm going to end it here. Appreciate you, Coldy Bear. Hey, I appreciate y'all joining, man. This was a good show. I know it's kind of random time-wise, but yeah, I'll be back soon. Training camp's about to kick off, and I guess we'll leave it there. Have a great weekend. I may see y'all again this weekend, potentially. Maybe some other talk. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. But until then, I don't know what to say. Thank you, Prop, for watching, and I'm out. Just like a video. Okay. I don't know how we ended the last one. We ended the last one really well with something I said. I just don't know what I said. So whatever I said last show, that again. All right. All right. Oh, you know what?
You're tripping.